YouTube channel. So this morning I'm heading off on a nice wee journey. So I've stayed over in Fort William last night in a kind of purpose built lorry and motorhome and camper van car park behind Morrison's. Great value, £6.25 for 24 hours. Really good, other than truck drivers start their engines at 5:30 in the morning getting you up. So I've been at McDonald's, I've had my breakfast, so I'm now ready to get started, and our first stop should be Alandon Castle. So join me and let's see where this journey takes us. So we've just stopped at a viewpoint, and this is the view over Loch Lomond, which as you can see is covered in mist. It's -4, but by God it's absolutely stunning. And with that wee sunrise over the mountains this morning, it's really special. I'm going to zoom in and you can see the mountains in the far distance. Wow, this is special. So I've stopped at Loch Cluny and look at this view. Absolutely stunning again. It's actually -7. It's absolutely freezing. But look at that. It's absolutely gorgeous. Look, you've even got the reflections of the tips of the mountains onto the water there. If I turn the camera around, on the side of the mountains here, if I zoom in, we've got frozen waterfalls all the way down the mountain, and just look how that mountain's lit up with the snow on the top. It's absolutely glorious. Right, I better jump the van because it's absolutely freezing. So arrived safely at Alandon Castle, and as you can see the tides creeping in just now, and then over on the distance where my finger is, that's the Cooling Mountain Range over in Skye where we're heading to next. And if I just keep walking, I'll just get a view of the car park. So I've come to the other side of the bridge. Unfortunately there's a lot of demolition work going on. I think they're rebuilding the car park. So there's a lot of noise. So it's difficult to film here with all the noise that's going on. I'm not even sure you'll be able to pick that up in this camera. But anyway, I've taken a number of shots. So what I'll do is once I've finished, I'll share these images with you now. I've stopped at my second stop on my Skye trip this morning. If I just turn round, get to see the bay, got a wee fire engine going past. Now the reason I've stopped here is, every time I come to Skye we always drive past these waterfalls and I've never ever stopped. So I thought we'll stop. These are the Banan Falls, and what I'll do is half of them are icy, half of them's got water, but I'll work my way over and I'll catch back with you when I'm at the foot of the falls. Alright, so looking at the falls, there seems to be a couple of viewpoints. There's a couple over there which taking a shot that direction. There's probably a shot at the base of the falls there. But what I'll do is I'll start up here and I'll see if I can get a wider shot and then use the icy river as a foreground and use the icy river as a leading line up the falls. And then what you can see is the Black Mountain in the backdrop. Right, let me get set up and I'll talk you through this composition. Right, so this waterfall with the Black Mountain behind it, what we've got is a shot and a composition where I'm going to take a kind of S shape, so from the top of the falls all the way around, and then it'll come out at the bottom right of my image. And then what I want to try and do is try and capture the different pools of water, although it's all full of ice just now, because the way that that waterfall's formed, there's different levels of the waterfall and then it goes to a pool at the bottom. So what I'll do is I'll keep taking these images. I'll try vertical, I'll try landscape, I'll walk my way down and I'll get closer. And when I'm finished, I'll share these images with you. Right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to work my way down to the edge of the river, and I'll take my time. I'll just show you what I've got to walk down. So that is what I've got to walk down, because I want to get to the base round about there. So I'll catch up at the bottom. Right, so what I've got, I'm closer here, I've got all the boulders in front of me with some snow and frost. And then I've got the base of the falls flowing up. And then what I'm doing is I'm just slowing down my shutter speed. So I've got a 20th of a second, f11 ISO 100. And what I'm doing is I'm just focusing on the top of the falls. I'm making sure that as part of the composition, I've got the Black Mountain in, just the top, so it's peeking over. And then what I'll do is I'll take 2 or 3 different compositions. I'll do some zoom ins, I'll do some zoom outs. I'll do some landscape shots. And when I'm finished, I'll share these images with you now. That's us finished taking photos at Badrén, if I've even pronounced it properly. I'm just watching my feet because I'm walking over sheet ice. Right, so I'm just going to head back to the van, and those images that I've taken from a higher elevation there, I'll share those images with you now, and we'll catch back up at the next location. Hello, we're now at our third destination. So we've visited Alandon Castle, we've visited the waterfall, and now we've come to Skye. And Skye is famous, if I turn it round, for you've got the red Cuillins and you've got the black Cuillin mountains. And that statue over there, which we'll touch on in a little while, is a statue of the two famous mountaineers, Colley and Mackenzie. So I'll explain to you a wee bit more around Colley and Mackenzie in a wee while, but let's get there and let's see if we can get some photographs in this location. This is the Skye Bridge, and if I just go down the path, I'll just share with you a wee bit of history. Oh, some nice ice on the river there, and Skye Bridge has got its own legend, but I'll share that legend with you later on. But the bridge was built between 1810 and 1818, and it was actually the work of Thomas Telford. It's got 3 spans, as you can see, and that kind of what they call the rubble bridge gives it that kind of pronounced hump that you can see there in the middle, and that looks a cracking composition, especially with ice underneath it. But this new bridge that replaced the old bridge was built in the 1930s and 1930s style. But the old bridge has its own legend, and the legend has it that the water that flows under this bridge actually gives you eternal beauty. But what you've got to do is find a location, put your head in the water for 7 seconds, don't touch your face after, let it naturally dry. However, when you look at it today, it's going to be a bit challenging. But let's get set up and we'll try and get some shots, although we're shooting into the sun. Let's see if we can get some side shots, and I'll catch up with you soon. Information around Colley and Mackenzie and who they were. So John Mackenzie was born in 1856 from Schan, and he began climbing at the age of 10, and he was the first to climb the Scúr nan Gillean, and that was at the age of 10 he did that. But through his climbs and exploring, he went on to be the first ever native Scot to become a professional mountain guide. And it was through his endeavours he met internationally renowned scientist and mountain expert Professor Norman Colley, a regular visitor to the area. So the pair formed an alliance and friendship spanning more than half a century, and worked to create many well-known routes across the Black Cuillin mountain range. And in memory of the highly regarded pioneers and their achievements, the Colley and Mackenzie Heritage Group erected this monument here, and it cost £317,000, and it was made by local artist Stephen Tinney and cast in bronze in a foundry in Ireland. Mackenzie was a mountain guide for 50 years and he died in 1933. Colley died in 1942. He was buried in a grave next to Mackenzie's at Struan within the site of the Cuillin. And when you look at the statue, the figure that's standing is Professor Norman Colley, and the figure that's seated is actually John Mackenzie. So that's the background to this statue and why it's here, and these two famous mountaineers that have paved the way for all modern hill climbers and mountaineers. So from Colley and Mackenzie, I spotted these waterfalls. So I'm just going to walk up to these falls further up the river. The challenge I have is the sun is right beside the Black Cuillins, so that's not going to help me. So what I'm going to try and do is shoot kind of right, if I possibly can, and see if we can get some nice effects with the ice in these waterfalls. heading back to the van. There's one more location I want to get to, but I'm just going to gauge the time. And oh, that's a fair wee walk. Right, I'll catch back, hopefully, at the next location. All right, I've come to my last location, and oh my goodness, the wind has certainly picked up. And I've just met a really nice wedding photographer there who explained to me how to get to the location. So my last location today is going to be the Banan Falls. So I've also, because I've been driving a lot and stopping and jumping out the van taking photos, I forgot to eat. So I've grabbed a breakfast bar and I'll eat that along the way. If I turn round, you can see the Cooling Mountains and that white cottage. It told me to veer right, and then the waterfalls are further up. So I've no idea what to expect. And to save battery, and while I eat, I'll catch back with you when I reach the falls. Finally arrived. I've reached and found the Banan Falls. I hope I'm pronouncing it properly, but that's how it's spelt. I'm above the falls at the moment. Still got the Cooling Ridge, and then if follow the signs properly, there's a walk all the way over that mountain and that ridge, and that gets you into Glen Brittle, which ultimately might take you to the fairy pools eventually. I'm just going to move up a wee bit closer, because as you'll see, all the ice formations around the waterfalls. So there's quite a number of compositions here. There's frozen ice over here, and then I've got a higher view of the waterfalls here and all the ice formations, and then there's a wee tiny waterfall there. But that could make quite a nice shot with all of this in the foreground, looking onto the Cooling Mountains in the background. And then as I look down, we've got the frozen river. So I won't go that far down, but I'll go further back to the grass, because it won't be as slippy as the rocks and the ice, especially as I'm here on my own. So what I'll do is I'll start up here. So I'm now ready to take shots along the top of the waterfall to try and catch in. So I'm using the same principle as before, because the light is really difficult, and it'd be better if the sun was kind of over there and then it was a side light, but that's, I don't know what time of day we would need to be here for that. I don't know if that's like a 10 in the morning or a 9 in the morning. Anyway, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try and focus in on some of the details, and when I've finished that, I'll share those images with you now. Right, I've come down to the edge of the river. It's absolutely frozen. I don't know how thick it is, but I'm not going to test it, that's for sure. However, being low down in front onto the falls, absolutely beautiful. I've got a cracking composition here. I've got that, it's like a blue aqua at the base. And then we've got the water coming through. I've got a wee glint of the sky here, but oh, I'm just checking. This is absolutely glorious. So I'm using this boulder in my frame just to give me some balance. And there's a couple of other boulders there as foreground interest in the ice. I've then got that blue pool, or that blue aqua pool, and then we've got the falls. But I'm framing the image with all the rocks on the sides. And it's, well, it looks really nice in the camera. I really hope it turns out the way I think it looks here in the camera. But yeah, we won't know until we process the image. And here's hoping that turns out to be a cracking image. So it's getting darker and darker now. So I've stopped at an f-stop of 7.1. I've still got an eighth of a second, but I've had to increase my ISO to 160. So what I'll do is I'll look for a few more compositions here, and I suspect this is going to be my last set of images. But once I've finished, I'll share these images with you now. So I think we'll call it a day. It's getting really dark now and I need to get back to the van and go and find the campsite that I'm staying in. At least I'll be busy tonight editing photos. That'll give me something to do in these long drawn nights. But what an amazing first day. That drive through Glen Shiel this morning towards Alandon Castle from Fort William was just breathtaking. It was absolutely stunning. Alandon Castle, there were vans parked, so it's not exactly picturesque, and the sun was too high. But anyway, hopefully those images turned out. Our waterfalls today, Schan Bridge, and now the falls. Absolutely brilliant. And also Colley and Mackenzie, the statue commemorating the two amazing mountaineers that mapped all the walks for the Cullen Mountains here. So I'm going to finish the video here. I hope you like it. If you do, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do, because you know it's free. And if you press the bell notification, that'll let you know the next time I post a video. So thanks very much for watching, and here's to the next video.